I'm not exaggerating when I say that experimentation has brought the biggest results to my company. Sometimes it's multiplied my business by 2x, 3x, or even 4x. Now, today what I wanted to do is share some of my experiments so you can learn from them and get better. Hey everyone, I'm Neil Patel, and today I'm going to share the craziest marketing experiments that I've done and why they work. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to this channel. If you're on YouTube, click the alert notification. That way, as I release more videos like this, you'll get notified. The first experiment that I ran is a 100K challenge. This was the challenge that I published on my old blog that I no longer own, QuickSprout, in which I said, hey, anyone can create a business that generates 100K a month, and let me show you, and I can do that within 12 months. I created a nutrition site. My audience picked a niche. I don't know anything about nutrition other than I'm skinny because of genetics. Thank you, mom and dad. So I created this site around nutrition. I didn't use my name. I wrote a ton of in-depth content. I did outreach to build links without using my name again. I had a lead acquisition strategy in which I collected emails, and then I dripped people and I tried to sell affiliate products. Now, most affiliate products didn't work out, but I started putting out products on Amazon, fish oil. That worked really well. I was driving people from my website to Amazon. I was getting more reviews, boosting up my Amazon SEO rankings, and I ended up generating over 100K a month in revenue before the 12 months hit. So I was really happy with that. It worked. So why did it work well? Well, other people are following along with the journey. They love that. Any experiment that you do that people can follow along with you from beginning to end, and it shows people how they can do something step by step or how they can learn from it step by step, typically works extremely well. Just like those fit loss and weight loss challenges, they work because people can follow along and they try to do it themselves. If they can relate to it, you give them step-by-step instructions, again, it can work really well. The second experiment that I did is who is Neil Patel? Now, you may not be familiar with that experiment, but years ago, what I did is I had a lot of Instagram influencers hold up a sign with my name on it. I paid an ad agency, technically a social media marketing agency at that time. They got all the influencers, they negotiated the contracts, and some of them were really hilarious. My favorite was this dude, and he was really buffed. He was like a bodybuilder. And he put, who is Neil Patel? And he put Neil Patel on his pecs, and he was like flexing, and then he was able to make his pecs bounce up and down, and my name would bounce up and down. And he put that video on Instagram, and it went viral. Now, a lot of the people who put up those images and videos, they deleted them. They would only hold them up for 24 to 48 hours, some for a week. And some of them did really interesting stuff. Like there was this lady who was a makeup artist. She put my name, Neil Patel, into someone's face, and then she blended it back in. I don't know the makeup sayings, but at first you could see my name and then eventually it disappeared. But overall, that was cool because I was like, oh, wow, you did makeup and you put someone's name into it. So overall, that experiment brought a ton of brand awareness. People are Googling for my name. I had a huge uplift in traffic. And more importantly, I had a huge uplift in rankings as well. Now, the downside with that is a lot of the people that are holding up my sign, they're half naked men and half naked women. I would try to control that. I wouldn't necessarily go through agencies. I can't blame the agencies. At the end of the day, the buck falls on me for doing it. But you should be more careful and picky. You know, when I was picking people to help me with that experiment, I should have created a process where I vetted each and every single profile instead of saying, here's a budget, go and do whatever you want with it. I just want exposure. I should have been very strategic and been like, please send me each of their profiles. I want to make sure that they have engagement. I want to make sure that the images are appropriate, etc. But that provides a huge lift in brand queries, and Google loves brand queries. So the more brand queries you have for your name, the higher your organic rankings will increase. It's part of the algorithm. If you don't believe me, Eric Schmidt once said, brands are the solution. It's how you sort out the crap from the good quality sites. I'm butchering the quote, but you guys get the point. And he said that quote, it was on Ad Age, which is where I originally found it. My third experiment, expanding to Brazil, was one of my most favorite experiments. And the reason being is I got to learn and get to know marketers from all around the world. I started with Brazil. Eventually I went into Germany and Italy and Japan and China and all these other regions. But Brazil was the first country I really expanded into. And the thing that I learned is when you want to expand into a region, you need partners there feet on the ground. Without feet on the ground and people who understand the cultures, people who can be there to promote you, you're not going to do that well. We saw huge potential in that country because I was at a conference. I saw that a lot of people there, they want to learn, they have money, why not expand? They have a good GDP. GDP is important. Look for countries with big GDP, not necessarily GDP per capita. I found that the bigger the GDP, even if the GDP per capita is smaller, it's okay, you can still do well. And when I went into these regions, the reason this experiment was amazing and awesome is English is competitive. Portuguese, not so much. Even Hindi in India, not so much. German, even though German economy is strong, still not as competitive as English. So when you translate your site and transcribe your content to all these other regions, you can do really well. The market these days in marketing is no longer a domestic market, it's a global market. That's why in the stock market, when you see things like trade wars or tariffs, all that, it affects all these companies. The reason being is Apple, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, they're no longer just US companies or just companies that are American, they're global companies. International expansion, translating, transcribing your content, huge win. You should definitely try it out. It's not that competitive. And funny enough, I got that advice from a Google employee and it was the best advice I ever got. They're like, Neil, you create all this content for English, translate it into other languages. It's not competitive. You'll rank and you'll dominate really fast. The last experiment, and this is one of my funnest, if not my favorite experiment overall, was UberCos. I bought it for roughly $100 and something thousand, I think 120,000. And I had a mission. I'm like, why can't marketing tools be simpler and free? Why did they have to cost money? Released it. It's grown extremely popular over the years. And I prefer this approach over building it from scratch, because when you build something from scratch, there's no guarantee it'll be popular. Buying something that's already popular and then expanding upon it is really easy. Started off as a simple keyword tool, but then it revealed to be really huge, potentially, right? In which I can add in site data, tracking rankings, an SEO analyzer, backlinks, all this kind of stuff. And the reason I love this is the tool now makes up the majority of my traffic. It's more popular than my text-based content. So if you want to end up generating a lot of traffic, it's actually easier to do it with the tool than it is to create content. And in the long run, it's cheaper. You'll be like, wait, I can write content and forget about it. Not really. Google now wants you to update that content, keep it fresh, up to date. If not, you'll notice your rankings tank over time. So with the tool, you don't got to keep updating it as much, especially when it's free. Still brings in the traffic, and you don't have to update it as often as you have to update content, in my opinion, once it's up and running and popular. So if you need help growing your traffic, running experiments for your business, check out my ad agency, Neil Patel Digital. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, share this video. Take care.